everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a What If Civilization Started Over series with, well, blank world. You might not agree with the things that I do in this series, but it's a series. So, we're gonna start. We are going to start with, I guess, people starting to become a thing over here, like humanity starting over here. We're gonna fast forward a whole lot since I want there to, it'll have some people like explore out here, and also maybe some people going on this lake since they really like it. It might be a bit hard to go around this lake, but this is also like what an isle kind of is. They explore this part pretty fast. Next, they kind of want to see what's out here. So they, I guess, expand a whole lot more until they kind of just form a little camp right here. And then they expand more around the lake, which shouldn't be too hard. Oh yeah, I also am a bit sick. So if I make any bad noises, then that's just the sickness inside of me. They officially wrap on the whole entire thing in like about, let's say, like half a year. Yeah, it took really long for them to do that. And while they were doing that, some people also started to like explore over here, finding another little lake that they kind of called home. And now we just have a little humanity place right here. People don't start actually forming like civilizations, but there are some like tensions going on between people. By the way, these people over here, they are very adventurous. They leave. They actually gather like let's say 200 more people, and they leave. They basically leave all the way, and like they actually split up to cover more ground, but their sense of knowledge wasn't really that good, so they kind of just met up with the others. Yeah. So they explored this part. Next, they kind of just don't mind that. They kind of just kept on expanding. They didn't know that they were going towards another body of water until they reached there. They officially reached all the way over here, and they thought that this was just another ginormous lake until they actually thought that it was an actual body of water. Because they were trying to actually like go all around this lake. They soon realized that this lake is absolutely massive. While they were doing that, which took about half a year to do, in that same half a year, some people also went to go find more lakes or rivers or things like that. They went around that pretty fast. They were kind of like running pretty fast. They also did realize that they could also go through here to also get more, but some people actually decided to go the long way, and they somehow got there first. They officially explored this area, and they kind of just went right there. So let's say about 3 years has passed by, and this is the exploring map of the world so far. Let's say that, and these people during that like other year, during the next year, they actually start to explore more around here until they eventually stop because like down here is kind of like savanna or desert. Up here is kind of like desert, and then right in the middle, like right here, is kind of like forest upon forest. So they're just like right there. Anyways, the people that are right there, they kind of just stay here. They don't really want to go anywhere else. This lake is soon fully discovered all around. Pretty easy. A job completed. And then they also have words of the ocean actually extending all the way down here, but they don't really exactly know yet. Yeah. They keep on exploring, as well as these people also keep on exploring down until these two people met up, and then people from right here also met up right here. They don't really know that these islands even actually exist yet, so they just ignore them for now. Now, we also have these giant areas of just no people, so let's go and fill those in. Oh, wait, hold up. Yep, let's go just fill those in. Next, they kind of explore right here a bit more until they officially decided to stop. They explored all this. They also explored this right here. They explored a bit more right here, and also they explored a whole lot more right here. Boom. Next, they kind of just stopped for a bit, and this is where the first civilization was established. About 5 years for the civilization just to even begin. Let's just say it took about 10 years before the civilization actually began to form. The civilization kind of explored a whole lot of lands that they knew, because they didn't want to go into places that they didn't really know. They wanted to stick to the coast, or at least this wasn't really coast, but it was water. They soon reached the other lake, and they made maps. Unlike the other people that were just kind of going wherever they want to go, they actually made maps for themselves. Next, they wrapped around this lake. It didn't really take too bad, and after that, they kind of just stopped. As this country was still starting to form, this was like being explored rapidly, very rapidly. As well as on the other side, as well as right here, these were being explored very rapidly. It's like finally these people decided to do something with their lives, and they started to advance into the deep jungle, which many people died, so they kind of just stopped. They advanced over here, thinking that the jungle is only like right here, and people also died. So they kind of just stopped, but then a group of people liked the desert. So they went into the desert. They made it pretty far they made a little camp, because that's how they kind of survive. And that's all. Next, people right here, they stuck along the coast, and they kind of just followed the coast. If there was even a forest, they climbed on top of the trees or whatever. Because right next to them was a giant desert. They did not want to go through that. Next, these people made it up, or whatever, came together right there. I guess this lake started to be, formed more. And this is only a bit of the world that was actually discovered. Now, next is the more discovery happens over here. But I guess the people from the Red Country started to discover more, and they found some forests, but they weren't deadly. But they started to actually make a tiny little strip and then stop. Next, they kept on expanding right here until both of these people met up. Confirmed. This area is still being, seen, and boom, it's gone, just like that. As well as this area, they explored a whole lot, but not all. So these people kind of just decided to actually break away from their camp, leave it there, and move further north. Upon 5 or 20 days later, they reached up here, where they also found this other part to meet them up here. Now they had a giant task to fill in this area and hopefully not die of desert. So secretly, these people actually also were going on the tracks. Some people actually left right here. So yeah, now they just need to fill in 2 areas. The Red Country, they just kept on expanding. They moved further into the area that they found or whatever, and then they kind of just stopped again. But here they actually fully wrapped around this lake as well. So close to wrapping around this lake. Then they started to follow the other people's, ideas of going over there. But before this country is right here. This country is more, desert country. They wanted to still stick around the coast, but they were desert. This country was very, forest. They climbed them. And then these people, they just kind of walked on foot, bare feet. Yes, shoes have not been invented yet. Or maybe whatever. Probably not. But yeah, they kept on expanding west. Yep. And they kind of they were actually very expansive. Like these people that kind of didn't really like to stay in one spot. I mean, did like to stay in one spot, sorry. And then they expanded pretty large. They expanded all the way over here, and they sent some crews to actually go check more over here because they wanted to. And then, yeah. But also, these two countries do know about each other since the kings or whatever of these countries are actually brothers. So, yeah. Anyways, they explored. They explored a whole lot. And they explored this part within seconds. I'm kidding. They explored it within days. But yeah, this is what the world looks like now. Yep. We're gonna introduce some more countries. Anyways, these people, they kind of thickened their little claw or whatever right here. And boom. Now it's not really a U anymore. There's still more word is that the continent actually goes on further. But they don't really want to know that. Also, the white area is what they have explored. And also the gray is what they haven't explored. Like, no one claims it. But, I mean, yeah, just no one explored it. Because the white part, that means that still no one actually claimed it. I guess no one lives here. But soon, a group of people, they decided to go on the wall. Other countries, they felt like they just wanted to explore. And they made it to the other side. Explored all the way over here. Some people went back to maybe go get some food or whatever. They kind of stayed along the actual trail. But, yep. They started to expand along the coast. Okay, so yeah, they created a tiny country right here. This country is a very agricultural country. They depend on the sea. If they didn't have it, then they would probably die. It's very tiny compared to the other countries because really no one actually kind of lives like this. Okay, let's say that this has the population of like 100 people. Population like, let's say about 500. Population of about 400. Yep. Very tiny. You know what? Probably only like 50 people actually, since people probably died along this trail. Anyways, they kept on expanding along the trail because that's like the only part that they actually knew. But the red country, they also got a bit interested. They started to expand along this trail a bit more. So they eventually stopped because they wanted to expand more. And they didn't really, they liked staying in one place, but they liked to also explore. These people, they just only like to expand. They're colonizing this. No, there's nothing to colonize. They're just taking this. And they took it within minutes. That's another joke. They took it within like a month. But yeah, the red country is a very they don't like the sea. They like the lakes. I would know a better way to explain it. But once again, they also, I guess, explored this part. Still known as exploiters because no one actually had any interest to, but eventually it was a very crazy exploration thing that they did, but they made it out alive. Yeah, they made it out alive. Anyways, these people over here, it's time for their update time. They explored down. And then this is where they started to get, they started to feel a bit warmer down here. They didn't want to tell the blue country because they knew that the blue country would probably want to, come down here in seconds. So, they just didn't tell them. So, they went back up north. They still stayed along the coast, even though it was harder than the actual forest. From what these guys have told them, the forest is actually deadly. Until they don't reach the forest. They reach right here. And they kind of make another camp right here. They thicken this up, thinking that the forest actually didn't extend this far. But, yeah, that's where the deadly forest of doom or whatever. Yeah, they didn't. This is them. So, exploration map, they kind of reached the Atlantic and also the Indian. And anyways, while this was happening, they kept on following the tracks. Take what they took, what they explored. That's the motto. Take what they explored. So they did that. Red country, they did They finally explored this whole entire lake, and they started to go all the way over here. Internal conflicts, like some people actually didn't want to be a part of the country, so they just left. They didn't really form other civilizations or other countries, but they just left. I had to change my position. This is getting really uncomfortable. So yeah. People right here, they haven't explored this part because there's tail of like rattlesnakes or things like that that could kill you in this little area, as like things that in the forest or whatever. So they just kind of stopped. The purple country, they decided to not expand. They didn't want to. I mean, they decided to expand a tiny bit, like over here, but they didn't want to connect them. They had a much more unique way until they just did it anyways. They had a new like leader or whatever. Yeah, they kind of like if this was in like a modern situation, they would be known as tribes. If this in their world, they're like countries. But yeah, this is what they did, and they did that. They're pretty large now. They have like a population of about 500. Population update again, 500, about like 1,000 or like 1,000 people. Also, in the whole entire world, it's probably like, let's say 5,000 people, like 500, 2,000, 1,000. Boom. A whole lot of people only over here because it's very good and they don't want to be in the desert where it's hard to live. And yeah. Anyways, update time for the red country. Expand. And also internal conflicts are about to begin. Not in the red country, in the blue country. So the more that the blue country expanded, the more that they have being heard of a rebel outbreak of people wanting to rebel against the government or like whatever. And this causes a whole entire rebellion to begin. Both of these countries didn't really know anything. They know each other, but they don't. Sorry about that. Continuing on, yeah. These people revolted. And yeah, they revolted from, I guess, this little thing. They revolted. They started to expand, and eventually the country, they finally realized they actually just started to take back with the land. And it was sooner or later that the green country was basically almost gone, till it wasn't. They stirred up some chaos again, controlling like almost all the coast. Only a tiny bit was left, and also another green camp right here was also starting to begin to form. Now they were doing this, they were kind of also separating the blue country one by one. And the blue country eventually said, you know what, we'll give you guys independence. You better not do anything bad. So they basically did this. You know what? Yeah, they kind of did that. So that just means that the blue country, if they want to explore more, they have to go up here. Anyways, people started to explore again. This time, more up here. These people right here, they were they like to explore. That's like the job. That's like the number one job. Explore. But after this is actually going to be the end of today's episode of What If Civilization Started Over. Also, this is inspired by Adizz Pro. If you haven't watched his series, then go watch it now.